Hi, everyone, and good evening. I hope everyone is doing amazing. Today, we have a very interesting topic. I'm really excited to talk to you about this topic, which is how can you fix your status here in the United States without having to leave the US? How can you fix your status here in the US? And this is a topic that comes up so much for our clients. And today I'm going to talk about how this issue even comes up. Where does it come up? Um, why is it even relevant? And most important, what are the options that you have if this applies to you? Okay, so I'm excited to jump into the topic for today, and welcome to everyone that is joining. My name is Yael. I'm an immigration attorney here in Southern California. Um, and we are live today. We are live on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn today. So if you are catching us live, hi and welcome. If you are watching the replay of this, then also welcome. If you have any questions, please feel free to write them in the comments, or if you just want to say hi, that's also great. Hi, Carolyn. Hello and welcome, and good to see you here. Yeah, so we are going to just jump into the topic. Now, if you have any questions about what we're talking about or about a different topic, feel free to write them in the comments. And as I see them, I will answer them. If they don't pertain directly to the topic, I'll answer them. I'll still answer them, but I'll answer them after we kind of review this topic for today. Okay? Very cool. If I answer your question, this is it's important for me to note that my answer is not specific legal advice. It is general information only. Okay, perfect. So let's jump into our topic. And the topic today is, how can I fix my status? If I'm here in the United States and I do not have legal status, what are the ways that I can fix my status and become a permanent resident of the US without having to leave? Okay. Now, where does this come up? Why is this such a common scenario? So, this comes up when someone has entered the United States unlawfully and they're here in the United States, and now they have either married a US citizen or they have a child that turned 21 and they want to fix their status. So they want to be able to be petitioned by their spouse or by their child and get their green card. Okay? Now, why does this issue come up that you even have to leave? So the law says that you can only apply for your green card, for your residency in the US, if you have a legal entry. Okay? If you enter legally, or if you meet certain exceptions, which that's what I'm going to talk about today. Today, I'm going to talk about the exceptions to this rule. Okay, so if we're going back to our scenario, someone that enters the United States unlawfully, and then after a certain amount of years, now there's someone that can petition them, they can't do it in the US. They have to go back to their home country for the process. Okay, so going back to your home country for the process is not preferable, right? Sometimes you have to do it, sometimes there's no other way. If you don't meet one of the exceptions to this rule, you have to go back to your home country, and you generally have to apply for a waiver or forgiveness or pardon to forgive you for your unlawful entry and your unlawful presence in the United States. You don't need to ask usually generally for a waiver if you're applying for the green card in the US. So it's pretty big if you can find a way to apply for your green card in the US through one of the exceptions that are available. Okay, and which is what we're going to talk today about. Hello and good evening for everyone joining. Thank you so much. Today we're talking about how to fix your status in the US without having to leave. We talked about people that are in a situation where they have someone that can petition them. They're married to a US citizen, or they have a US citizen child that turned 21, but because of their immigration history, they can't file for the green card in the US. Okay, so they have to leave to file, and we want to try to avoid that if possible. Okay, so what are the exceptions? What are the exceptions for this situation, right? There are a few exceptions, and we're going to talk about them today. Okay, so these are cases where even if you enter unlawfully, right, you can fix your status in the US. Okay, you might be able to fix your status in the US without having to leave. The first scenario, the first exception is something called 245I. Okay, 245I. What is even that number and letter? Okay, 245I is a law. It stands for it's INA, Immigration and Nationality Act, section 245I. And this is a law that was passed, and it basically allows for people that have an old petition. So if someone petitioned you before 2001, and it could be even petition your parents before 2001, and now you are married to a US citizen, or now you have a son or daughter that's over 21 and is a US citizen, then you can use that old petition from before 2001 to fix your status. Okay, so let me give you a story. Okay, let me give you an example of 245.1 from one of our clients, and so it's easier to kind of grasp this concept. So our client came to the United States when he was only 2 years old, and he came to the United States unlawfully. He crossed through the mountains with his family, and he's been in the United States ever since. He's originally from Mexico, but he really does not know anything about Mexico that much. He's never lived there, and his life is in the US. Like, he's an American. He went to school here. He went to college here, and then eventually he got married here to a US citizen. Okay, well, after he got married, he was really excited about fixing his status and becoming a resident based on this marriage. But he didn't enter lawfully. And remember, if you haven't entered lawfully, that means that you are not eligible to apply for the green card here in the US unless you meet one of the exceptions. So we talked, and I did a very intense intake with him, asking him a lot of questions. And if you go to your lawyer and the lawyer asks you a lot of questions, that's good. That's good, because that means that the lawyer is trying to find any way, any loophole, any creative way to be able to fix your status, to help you. And I asked him, has everyone ever petitioned you before? He said, no, no one ever petitioned me ever. Has anyone ever petitioned your parents? And he said, well, I don't know. I don't know. My mom is here. My mom doesn't have any status. My dad doesn't have any status. I don't know if they were ever petitioned before. So we digged in, and he asked his parents, and apparently his mom's sister, so his aunt, petitioned her more than 20 years ago, and he was already born at that time. And that means that there is this old petition from before 2001. And even though our client wasn't the one that was petitioned, he was eligible to use this old petition because he was a derivative of his mom. Okay. So we were able to apply for his green card in the United States based on his petition by his wife, right? His new petition, but using the old petition to prevent having to go to Mexico and apply for the immigrant visa there, the green card there. Okay. So that is 245I. Okay, if you have an old petition that anyone's ever petitioned you or your parents, if there's any aunt there that you have, aunt or uncle or grandparent that was a US citizen at some point or a resident, maybe they put in a petition. Okay, and during that time in 2001, when this law came out, there was a rush for people to apply, right? Even employers could apply for you. So even if an employer applied or petitioned for your parents, you might have qualified for this. You might qualify for this. Okay, so it's worth knowing. 245I. Okay. Now I'm jumping into the second exception. Okay, and I see some comments here that some people, this is not relevant to them, and that's okay. A lot if it is relevant for you, I hope you're listening because this is super, super duper important. Okay. So let's talk about option number two. Option number two is something that a lot of people know about. It's called the U visa or Visa U, and it is a visa or an option, humanitarian option that's available for and someone in the U.S. that has been a victim of a crime in the U.S. and they were cooperative and they helped law enforcement with this crime by reporting the crime to the police. Okay, so if you were a victim of a crime, and it needs to be a certain crime, so not all of the crimes count, but if you are a victim of a qualifying crime, then you might be eligible to fix your status to eventually get your green card here in the United States without having anyone petition you, without having to leave the United States, and just do the whole process here in the US. Okay, so if anything is that relevant for you, the U visa could help. Okay, and the U visa is all, and the next one, these humanitarian options are very forgiving. So they forgive a lot of things. They forgive your unlawful entry. They forgive your unlawful presence. They forgive almost every crime or every criminal record, almost. Okay, very forgiving. The next option I want to talk to you guys all is about the T visa, Visa T. Not a lot of people know about this one. So while a lot of people know about the Visa U, the visa for victims of crimes, not a lot of people know about the T visa. So the T visa is an option for, again, a humanitarian option for people to fix their status in the United States if they've been a victim of human trafficking or labor trafficking. Right? So this comes up a lot in the scenario of people that have worked for employers that took advantage of them, didn't pay them correctly, subjected them to very dangerous work conditions, or threatened them because of their immigration status, controlled them, their schedules. Really, there's a lot that goes into labor trafficking and human trafficking, people that are held here in the United States for any period of time without their consent could technically qualify for the T visa. And the T visa, like the U visa, very, very generous humanitarian reliefs options. So if you are subject to the U, or if you are eligible for the U or the T, it could forgive a lot of things. Okay, a lot of previous immigration violations or any criminal, almost every criminal violation. Okay. Perfect. Now, if you have any questions about what I'm talking about, and Carolyn, I see that you have a question about citizenship, I'm happy to answer that very shortly. I just want to go through a couple more examples of just for folks that are here listening to the topic, and then I'll jump into those questions. And if you have any of them, if you're watching the replay of this, also it is totally fine. You can write your question in the comments and I'll get to them as I see it. Okay. Perfect. So we talked about 245I. We talked that old petition that someone maybe filed for you or your parents, either a family member or an employer, before 2001. We talked about the U visa if you are a victim of a crime, or possibly the T visa if you're a victim of labor trafficking or human trafficking, which can sound really scary. If you feel like you might qualify for this, or this might be something that's relevant for you, you can always reach out to us. I'm happy to have a consultation with you and discuss it more in detail and see if you might qualify for something. Okay, if you went to an attorney before and the attorneys told you there's nothing you can do, really make sure that the attorney screened for everything. And it's true that sometimes there's nothing we can do sometimes. But sometimes there are options. Okay, so you really want to try to look, outside the box and see what is available out there. Okay, awesome. I have two more exceptions to this rule. The rule that says you can only apply for your green card in the US if you've entered legally. There's more exceptions. Okay, so one of the exceptions is called Vawa. And if you follow me, I talk a lot about Vawa because I think it's something that a lot of people don't know about. And I really really am passionate about helping people with Vawa and raising their awareness of this. Okay, so what is this Vawa? Vawa stands for Violence Against Women's Act. It's an abbreviation. It's a short name for a long law, and that basically says that if you were in a relationship with a U.S. citizen, if you have a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident spouse, right? You're either married to or you were married in the last 2 years to a U.S. citizen or resident spouse, or you have a 21-year-old citizen child, and those family members, either your adult child or your spouse, have subject you to unhealthy treatment, okay? Emotional abuse, extreme cruelty, psychological abuse, of course, anything physical, right? Mistreatment by a close family relative. That's kind of how we take it to how we open the door to start talking about this, okay? It applies to more people than you would think. A lot of people, this is very relevant to them. Okay, so if you are in a relationship or were recently in a relationship with someone that did not treat you properly and subject you to mistreatment and emotional and psychological abuse, then you might qualify for a VAWA. And with a VAWA, you can petition for your green card by yourself and for yourself. It's a self-petition. You don't need anyone to petition for you or anyone to ask for you. Okay, you can petition for yourself. You can apply for the green card in the U.S. even if you've entered legally. Okay, now with VAWA, there's some, there's more considerations, but that's just the general picture. Okay, that is VAWA. Okay, and finally, okay. Just a note about VAWA, I did present it as Violence Against Women's Act, but it does apply also to men as well. And we represent many men in these kind of cases. Okay? I want to talk about the final option today, which is military parole in place. Okay? You might have heard about it. I also talk about it, some videos about this. Military parole in place is a benefit that's available. It's very specific. It's available if you have a close family member, a parent, a child, a spouse that is in the military. Okay. Now, they might have been in the military now in active duty, or maybe they were in the military in the past, in reserves, they're veterans. As long as they were honorably discharged, they qualify for this. Okay. So if you've entered unlawfully, but you have an immediate family member that is in the military, you can apply for something called parole in place. Okay. That if you are approved for parole in place, it's like magic. It's like magic because it's as if you were paroled in. It gives you that legal entry that you need in order to continue with your case and apply for your green card in the United States. Okay. So you will need also a petition. So parole in place is not the actual green card application, but parole in place together with a petition it works. So for example, I can tell you guys about a couple that we represented that she was in the military and they got married, and the spouse did not have a legal entry. So what we did is we filed for parole in place for him. Then his parole in place was approved. He gets a stamp on a piece of paper that just allows him now to apply for a green card based on her petition. Okay, so it's kind of like a two-step process. First, you apply for parole in place, and then you can apply for your adjustment of status for your green card. Okay, so those are the ways that I wanted to share with you today of how to fix your status without leaving the US. We talked about 245I, we talked about the U visa, the T visa, we talked about VAWA, and we talked about military parole in place. Okay, for a lot of people, this is very, very, very important. These options really are life-changing. Okay. Some people, it's an inconvenience for them to leave the country. They don't want to do that. They prefer not to. For others, if they need to leave the country, they cannot proceed. They cannot. So for certain people, they don't have a qualifying relative to apply for a waiver of forgiveness that they need if they leave the country and they go apply for the green card outside of the country. So these options are really, really crucial. If you are in a situation, you or your family member are in this situation and you think this is relevant, please reach out to us. And I would happy to have a consultation with you and see how we can help. Okay? Perfect. Let's see if we have any questions about this topic or about anything else, and I can answer them. Okay, Carolyn, hi. I don't know if you're still here. You have a green card. You came in legally. Great. You're asking how much is the citizenship now? Did it go up? So basically, starting April 1st, there's going to be, hi, you're here. Awesome. So starting April 1st, there is going to be an increase in the filing fees. For naturalization, if you file by mail, there's an increase, I think, of $50. And I believe that if you file it online, there's no increase. I think there's actually, they're trying to motivate more online filings. So for citizenship, it's not that significant. The significant increases in filing fees are more for the adjustment of status application. So if you are filing for adjustment of status, then right now the filing fees are approximately $1,700. But if you're applying after April 1st, those fees go up to almost $3,000. So it's a very significant jump. So I would love to encourage anyone that's kind of on the fence. They don't know what to do, if they should file their case or they shouldn't file their case. If you guys are following me, I've been like shaking people, like, wake up, file your case, because filing fees are going up. And then and also, later this year, November, we're going to have an election. And I don't need to tell you, if we have a new administration, that can potentially mean new policies, new restrictions, and immigration can get harder. So take action. So Nicole's asking if someone has a deportation order, is it a case that your firm can take on? So it depends. We do not currently take any removal cases. So if your case is an active case, then we wouldn't be able to help you. But if the case is closed and there is a way to fix your status now going forward, we might be able to help. Carolyn, no, you don't need to pay $3,000 because you're already a resident. So $3,000 is what you have to pay if you're applying for residency in the United States after April 1st. Von Rick is asking, how can you adjust to B1, B2? So B1, B2 is a tourist, and to adjust status, you have to have eligibility to adjust status. So you have to have a basis for that. Okay, either have an employer or a U.S. citizen immediate relative that can petition you for the most part. Okay, wonderful. Carolyn, you just paid for your green card. Perfect. You don't have to worry. Perfect. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to write them here in the comments, and I'm happy to get to them as we go. Let's see. If you're new here and you've never been on our channel, welcome, and thank you for popping by. If you would like to subscribe to our channel on YouTube or like our page on Facebook, you would be able to get more notifications about events like this. I try to go live every week on Thursday and talk about a different topic and answer questions. So subscribe to be able to get more notifications and really learn more about immigration. Perfect. Awesome. Well, guys, I hope everyone found this information valuable. I wish everyone the best end of the week and weekend. Take care, and God bless you.